All right, so the Tigers they're in some trouble here. I say that because I don't think it's new to say that. It's just that when you get somebody that's perhaps as optimistic as I have been about the Tigers and always looking to the bright side and trying to see what's there, and when I start to lose a little faith, then maybe that might be a sign that okay, is there real trouble here, because even the most optimistic fans are starting to feel it. It's not that I'm a homer. It's that I try to look at the better parts of the team. I recognize it's not a good baseball team, but I want to recognize that, Matt Vierling might be better than I thought. I want to know that okay, Colt Keith is struggling, but he's a rookie, and actually he's picked up the pace quite a bit in the last, month or two, and, he's getting back towards respectability. He's not there right now, but he's having better at bats. And the one thing, if I want to point out a positive for Colt Keith, is that he doesn't strike out a ton, which is good. Do they have something with Wencel Perez? They might. He's actually played a lot now, 231 at bats, and his 260 batting average and 704 OPS. They're not great, but it's an average MLB player right now, and he's a rookie. So building off things like that. But it's so much of the downside of it that's bothersome here. Obviously, Spencer Torkelson down. He had his 200 at-bats with the team, and he hit 201 with an OPS of under 600. That was a problem. Only had 4 home runs with the Tigers, and it was time to send him down and try to figure some things out. They started the season with Parker Meadows. He played 32 games with the team, and he hit 096. 096. So despite the fact he's a wizard in center field, an absolutely fantastic center fielder, probably one of the best top 5 center fielders in baseball, they had to send him down because he wasn't hitting. So at what point in time do you say, well, maybe it's time to bring some guys back up? Are they doing? Like, take a look and see, what are they doing? Is it time to bring them up or not? Because Parker Meadows, in 45 games with Toledo, and he's basically hit leadoff, he's hitting 294 at Toledo. That's 200 points better than what he was hitting as a Tiger. His OPS is 900. Remember I said there's only like a handful of guys in baseball with an OPS of 900, and there he is. He's stolen 18 bases, and his on-base percentage is nearly 100 points better than his batting average. Maybe it's time to bring up Parker Meadows. Okay. What has Spencer Torkelson done? Well, in just under 100 at-bats, he's got 4 home runs. He's hitting 271. His OPS is 808. Obviously much better than when he was with the Tigers, but still perhaps not where you want it to be to say Spencer Torkelson's coming back right away. Those are the 2 guys right away that you're thinking of. But at some point, you're going to have to make that decision. And the trade deadline comes and goes here in about a month. I think that's when we're going to see some moves, Kang. I think that's where it has to happen. That you're giving guys an opportunity right now to prove themselves, whether it's Perez or Akil Baddoo, Justin Henry Malloy. These guys are getting a chance to play right now and see what they can do. Right now, it looks like Perez deserves to stick around. I think he does. Justin Henry Malloy hits a home run last night, his 4th of the season, and all 4 home runs have been bombs that he's hit, and it's 4 home runs and 67 at-bats. So it's a decent rate there, but he's hitting 194. But when he hits, it's got some pop in the bat. Akil Baddoo has only had 49 at-bats with the Tigers. That's it this year. And he's hitting 122 with a 548 OPS. I'm guessing Akil Baddoo is going to be the odd man out when all is said and done in a month. If it's time to, you could make the case it's time to bring Parker Meadows up right now. Bring him back, send Baddoo down, and let Parker Meadows play out there. I think we're going to see some roster movement take place, certainly by the trade deadline, and they're going to have to move guys like Mark Canha, Gio Urshela. Both of those guys are free agents at the end of the season, so it would make sense that you move on from those players and try to get something for them. Now, is there anything you can get for them? I don't know. I mean, Urshela plays a really nice third base, but he hasn't hit all that well with the Tigers at 237 on the season and a 581 OPS. You look at Mark Canha, and he's one of these professional hitters, gets up there, and his on-base percentage is 100 points. It's actually 110 points higher than his batting average. Unfortunately, his average is 224, and his OPS is below Major League average at 669. But Canha has some versatility. But I don't know what you're going to get for those guys. Not much at all. But what you do get if you move them out, even if it's just for low-level prospects that don't pan out, it clears up space for guys that need to have an opportunity. Guys like Parker Meadows, and maybe at some point Spencer Torkelson comes back up. A guy like Dylan Dingler, the catcher, who's playing at Toledo and who's hitting quite well at Toledo at this point. In fact, he's hitting 288 on the season with an 831 OPS. He's got 10 home runs on the year and 205 at-bats. I think it's just a matter of time before he comes up. And will the Tigers move one of their catchers out by the deadline? They might, or maybe they'll just waive him. But I'm curious where Tiger fans are right now with this team. Have you given up on this team completely? I'm hoping you haven't. I hope there's still some interest in there. And for the people that are interested, what do you want to see next? Do you want to see a move before the deadline? Something as simple as saying, look, Parker Meadows needs to come up, send Akil Baddoo back down, or DFA or whatever? Or do you wait? Can you be patient enough for the next month to come by for the trade deadline, because it doesn't really matter. This team's not going to the playoffs, and you can afford to wait a little longer.
Are you surprised at all? I took last week off. I was on vacation. I came back, and I don't know what I was expecting, but to hear that Tork and Parker had still not been called up, just because of how this regime I thought what was playing out was going to be let the young guys play. No one blocks them. Let them go with their ups and downs with the big club, and let them develop that way. Obviously, Tork was off to a really, really bad start where they said, hey, he's got stuff to work on. We got to send him down. But Parker, who was horrific at the plate, has really done much, much better down at
He's hitting
Toledo.
Literally 200 points better at Toledo than he did at Detroit.
But he still hasn't been called up. So What happened to not blocking the young guys thing? I mean, are you a little surprised, or are you, hey, I understand this plan, we'll do it after the trade deadline?
I will be surprised if after the trade deadline that he's not brought up. In fact, like I said, I think you can make a strong case, bring him up now and send Baddoo down. But the problem is, when you talk about blocking guys, you've got Riley Green playing in the outfield, you've got Matt Vierling playing in the outfield, and you've got Wencel Perez playing in the outfield. And Malloy is like DH, and occasionally Malloy plays out there. I think they really want to take a longer look at Malloy, but if it's a DH, it doesn't affect it. But because Perez is actually playing fine, he's like an average baseball player right now in Major League Baseball, but he's a rookie. So you'd think, okay, coming in, he's average. He'll get better as years go on, as he gets more experience. So I think Perez is the guy who was given an opportunity and he's running with it. So is that preventing Parker Meadows from being here? I think that's the one that prevents him. Vierling, on the other hand, maybe what happens is you trade Gio Urshela at some point. Vierling goes to third base, and that opens up the outfield spot for Parker Meadows. So Riley Green shifts to left field, and or he's actually there left field anyway. And then you could put Parker Meadows at center. I think that's that's where we're at. I mean, you're waiting for a move to happen, to move space around. I don't think it's as simple as just sending this guy down and bringing this guy up. I think it's moving a guy out and bringing a guy up. But 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. And this is only part of the concern. I mean, we're just talking offensively because that's the easy part, right? You see the team doesn't score runs, and well, what are we doing? The harder part to deal with is the pitching situation, because you've got Jack Flaherty, who is, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? He's missing the start today. He's supposed to start over the weekend, but he's had a couple back injections in the last 10 days because of a back issue. And this is a guy you're counting on as a trade chip. And I know there's some people like, well, just sign him to an extension. Okay, well, if you want to sign him to an extension, again, you got a back issue. So I'm not sure if that's going to work out. And then you've got the Casey Mize situation that he's hurt right now. And then you think you can go right back, let's just promote Matt Manning. Well, Matt Manning hasn't pitched well at Toledo. And you got Gator Montero, who's going to pitch tonight, and nothing special there with what he has done in his minor league career. So there's bigger issues with this Tiger team, and the more you take a look at it, the more you're thinking is this gonna be a while? Because I kind of thought that next year was a year that this team could really make a push for the playoffs. Not this year, but next year, really make that push. But now, because we've seen Cleveland taking off and Minnesota getting back to being Minnesota, and they're taking off, and the fact that Kansas City has lapped the Tigers, that hurts. It's Kansas City lapping the Tigers that bothers me. But how far away is this team? Like, how is this team so desperate to find more core pieces? It's different than the Red Wings. I can really be optimistic about. I think the Red Wings, being a point away from making the playoffs this past season, and liking their prospects and knowing that all of hockey likes their prospects and these guys are ready to come up, I feel like, okay, I think this is a team, this is a make or break year. They're going to make the playoffs. But throwing it on the Tigers and saying, I expected them to be a playoff team next year, but realistically looking at this core and saying, I don't think they have enough. How do you get enough? And this is why people start to talk about, well, do you trade Tarek Skubal so that you can get a bunch of guys that are ready to play right now that'll make this team better?